Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, episode number 22 today for the finale of Season 1 at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. If you guys did miss the previous one at the Brazilian Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see the rest of this one. But this is where we stand then on the R&D chart at the end of the season, kind of slap bang in the middle. Alfa Romeo surprisingly continued to upgrade just a little bit there to re-overtake us on the R&D chart. Of course, we know in reality that's a little bit different. You know, we've seen how quick McLaren can be, how poor Red Bull have been, and really Alfa Romeo, to say they're that high up in the R&D chart, they've really not used their car wisely, whereas of course we have. The same with Renault and AlphaTauri, and really the Renaults, for how low down they are, they've seemed a lot quicker, especially in like the last few races with Ricciardo as well, with the rivalry we've had, although to be fair also he's had a fair few DNFs. But in terms of our car then, the kind of final stages of the R&D tree and the R&D spending is adapting that final chassis upgrade and also the durability, because I thought we have all these points, so we may as well readapt that, because it'll be cheaper to adapt that durability upgrade for next year rather than repurchasing it. But pretty much now we're all golden. We've adapted everything we can physically with the engine, the chassis side, and the aero. Obviously we've still got one tiny minor update to come in, which will come in just in time for this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix as we go on through the activity timeline. So looking good in terms of the all setup. You know, we've also got a decent amount of money saved up, just under, you know, 9 million, but we will cross over that 9 million barrier once we get, you know, at least 1 million from the sponsor bonus. We'll get a bit more money, of course, from just going through the week basically and getting the weekly income, and so we should have enough for that plan of ours to get a decent teammate. We looked at that region of, you know, the maximum we want to spend is about 9.05 million, not any more on a teammate, so we should have comfortably enough money to do that. But we go on through the activity timeline, just choosing the final activities we're going to do this season, really, before the last Grand Prix. Then we've got a nice mixture of the ones we've chosen, so marketing strategy conference to boost the acclaim of the team building as well to boost the morale of all four departments, even though it will cost a little bit, and then attending the F1 esports event to boost the acclaim of our driver personally. But we're now ready to go through the timeline. You can see we've got that other personnel upgrade coming through also before this Grand Prix. We upgraded the personnel HQ facility twice over. The second upgrade just came in, the fitness center. We already had the simulator upgraded, so that's going to be a really solid foundation for next year. No matter what driver we sign, they're going to be boosted by that straight away once they sign for our team. And then obviously, as I've talked about, you know, if you doubled the points that I got this season, we could have been challenging McLaren Racing Point in the championship, and that's where we're looking at for season 2, is to make that next step up of that kind of bridging area where McLaren and Racing Point have been operating. They're kind of, you know, bridging the gap between the midfield and the kind of top teams, obviously with Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull have kind of fallen away. So I'm interested to see where they're going to be going into season 2, but we're looking to be there. And so with that, with a new teammate that we're going to hopefully sign and hopefully get a pretty decent one. I mean, obviously we're going to have to go through negotiations and that could go wrong, but hopefully it doesn't. But hopefully we can pick up someone good. But on top of whoever we sign, we'll boost them in terms of stats with the personnel foundation, and that'll hopefully add to hopefully them getting near enough the same points as us, hopefully, and we can work as a good team there and build on the car we built, which is looking pretty strong. Aero-wise, you can see, you know, we're right up there just behind Racing Point. You know, a few more upgrades and we will overtake Racing Point and be the best of the rest on that side of things. It's really just now a case of, like I said, that's why we upgraded the chassis side to Spec 2, because I think the chassis is the biggest area where we're just so far behind for some reason. I think My Team like base car just starts with such a low chassis, and I've just not really looked into it that much compared to the aero and engine side this season, especially aero. So next season that will be the big kind of focus for us to really try and catch up to the rest, and that's maybe where I feel like we're losing out, is kind of acceleration out of corners, tire wear as well, maybe here and there, and that may be a factor for today at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. But we finally get that final minor drag reduction update for the aero, so that is now it. So we've got over 1,000 R&D points, which is quite nice. So we're going to have quite a nice pool of R&D points to straight away spend on the car once we get through to the end of the season, and we have that kind of period where it's like before pre-season and before you actually go to the Australian Grand Prix. There's going to be some time for us to improve the car even more so before Melbourne, let alone the kind of adapting we're doing for the R&D regulation reset. So very positive feeling, I think, going into this this end of the year that I think we can kind of hold a good mark. I don't think we're going to gain. I don't think we're going to gain on many teams R&D wise in this regulation reset, but I think we'll just hold station, which I think will be good enough, hopefully, if some other teams lose some performance and we can just stay where we are, because the fear is that we kind of get worse than where we are and we have to remake up all the positions. But because we've adapted everything, feeling good about it, and we've got a lot of points still to play around with straight away once we get into that new season, basically. But enough of the new season. We still have to finish off this season. We've got one race left here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So here we are then into Q1 as the floodlights come out, obviously, and the sun starts to go down as we start this first part of qualifying, trying to hopefully go out with a bang and try and qualify well and hopefully get through at least in Q2. I hope. It's very close. After that first run, you can see P15 to P16 with Jack Aiken there. Raikkonen then splits us as we go on that second lap. This second lap, I decided, because it was so close for us to get through into Q2, like literally a mere 1/10 or 2, I think, to the cars ahead of us, I thought, let's try and save some tyres for later in Q2 to try and give us a good chance in that second part. So I went out on the same set of tyres. So this set right here, I only gained about a 10th, I think that was, across the line in the last corner, but I did it on the same set of tyres, and we just about managed to get through. We stay P15. Unfortunately, Aiken does get knocked out. Raikkonen makes it through. His teammate does not. Giovinazzi knocked out there, but we make it through in the second part of qualifying, and we did it with only one set of tyres, even though we did 2 different runs. So good thinking there, and actually a decent effort on that second run to actually somehow still manage to go a little bit faster, even though the tyre wear was kicking in already. I think it was like 11% tyre wear when I started that second lap, so it was actually quite good that we somehow managed to find some time right at the end of that lap. But now here we are, Q2, fresh set of tyres, a little bit of understeer through this last sector for sure. I think the last sector is the worst sector for us with this car. We're just finding it so hard to rotate the car around those slower corners, and that honestly is a lot to do down with the chassis. I think a lot of the time this season when I've found the car to be so stiff in the slower corners, I think it's really just been that chassis, the kind of weight, the way the weight shifts around corner to corner. So looking forward to trying to rectify that next season. But we're now on the second run. We use Ocon as a bit of a little toe, not too much of an advantage gain though, to be honest, with that Renault, but a little bit quicker in the last sector then, and especially through the last 2 corners there, you can see gaining 1, 2, 3 tenths nearly there, just in the last 2 corners, and across the line, 4 tenths gain nearly on that second run. We're up into P5 and we make it through into the top 10, and look at this. Lewis Hamilton has been knocked out in Q2, and remember, this is very crucial because he is in a championship fight with Charles Leclerc. There is only 2 points, I think it is, separating Hamilton at the top from Leclerc in second place, so this is massive. Hamilton, minimum P12. Obviously, there might be some engine penalties to help out Hamilton and get him back up the order, but he's out in Q2. He can't qualify anymore, and Leclerc's through, so that could be quite crucial for the man in red for his title chances. But for us there, it's the second time only this season we've got into the third part of qualifying. The first time was quite lucky, remember, at Singapore with that rain qualifying. This time, I guess we just got very lucky with both Mercedes cars, just had a woeful qualifying. I don't know if they mistimed their runs or whatever, but they just did not go well. And so here we are. It's been a pretty decent lap for us, and across the line, and it's going to be P7 for the grid tomorrow. Lucky number 7 for us. That's quite a good omen then into the last race of the season. Of course, we got massively helped by the fact there's a lack of 2 Mercedes cars there, because otherwise we would have been P9 then, if you think about it. But it's a 1-2 for Ferrari. Leclerc on pole position for his championship decider race. That is the best possible place you want to be for tomorrow's Grand Prix. The McLarens have done a madness. Sainz in 3rd, Norris in 4th, and we've done well to out-qualify Albon. And Verstappen also got knocked out in Q2 with the 2 Mercedes cars, so we've out-qualified both Mercedes cars. But also, like going back to what I was saying just before at the very start of the episode about Renault being lower down than the likes of Alfa Romeo in the R&D tree, and even lower than us, you can see clearly though, when it matters, Ricciardo and Renault do the job, and they're actually got quite a quick car, so you can't really always rely on that. But I mean, going into this race then, for us, obviously, we just want to do the best job we can. It's the last race. We can safely hold P6 in the Constructors. It's just about going out there with a bang, enjoying the race, obviously just trying to get some more points and finish off the season in the strongest way possible. But for the championship decider, Leclerc v Hamilton, this is going to get very, very tasty, I think.
So here we are, ready to go racing for one final time this year. Another season of victories, controversies and rivalries lies in our wake. And just one challenge remains here in the United Arab Emirates on a circuit that made its spectacular debut back in 2009. Welcome To the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, the Yas Marina circuit, just over 3.4 miles long with 21 corners and 2 very long back straights. There are 2 DRS zones going into the heavy braking zones of both turn 8 and turn 11 and offer plenty of potential for overtaking. The circuit comes with its fair share of tricky corners as well, in particular 15, 16 and 17, which will certainly test a driver's braking management. And so, for one final time this season, Anthony Davidson joins me in the commentary box.
Well, the winter break is looming once again. No doubt many of those teams already have their eyes firmly on next season. But there's still work to be done here. Still championship positions to decide, which can make a big difference to the prize money. So no one's going to be taking their foot off the throttle just yet.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Sebastian Vettel has a clear track ahead of him today. He starts in pole position, and talented Spaniard Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Norris, the owner driver, Daniel Kvyat, and Gasly, Perez, Ocon, Leclerc, and Lewis Hamilton, Stroll, Verstappen, Kimi Raikkonen, and Ricciardo, Giovinazzi, Albon, Romain Grosjean, and Kevin Magnussen, Russell, Latifi, Bottas, and Jack Aitken. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
So if you paid attention to the grid sequence there, you would have seen we have even more developments here for this championship decider. Leclerc has a 10-place grid penalty, so he actually starts on the same row as Lewis Hamilton. So that makes it even tastier because there's only 2 points in it. So to be fair, Leclerc didn't need that advantage to go toe-to-toe. Of course, I know the Ferrari is a bit slower than the Merc right now in this career season of ours, but still, this makes things even crazier. And even for us as well, we're elevated up to P4 on the grid. The McLaren of Sainz is on the front row alongside Sebastian Vettel, Norris in P3. You got Kvyat just behind me on the next row as well. So very crazy final race and grid for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So looking forward to this one for us. What can we do from P4? But also eager to keep an eye on. We'll try and update you through this race then of what happens with Leclerc versus Hamilton. But it's time to go. It's going to be a 2-stop from soft tyres to 2 mediums. Pretty standard around Abu Dhabi, I'll kind of say. Hopefully the tyre wear doesn't hamper us too much here, but historically it has been sometimes quite an issue, especially in the kind of opening seasons when we don't have any kind of upgrades on that kind of tyre wear on the chassis side of things. But it's the final race. It's been a fantastic first season. Let's go out with a bang and try and secure some decent points and just, try and have some fun out there. So here we go then for one final time in this season 1 of our My Team career mode to 5 red lights, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix from P4 on the grids, and we're out and underway, and it's a great start for us, but even better one for Sainz there in second place. He's going into turn 1 in first place. Vettel's been pushed wide. Vettel on the outside. We tried our best to get to the inside there. Got pinched out though by the Spaniard. Instead, we maintained the P3 at least. Norris has been swamped and he's been overtaken by Kvyat. So the AlphaTauri is alt up into P4. So a great start from both of us there in that respect. But Sainz leads the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix then. He got the better of Vettel. Vettel tried to keep it around the outside as we went down the crest in sector 1. But Sainz has got it. The Spaniard leads this final race. Could he pull off a miracle? We'll have to see. I'm pretty sure that Ferrari will give him a good old fight. The Ferrari on paper is still the quicker car, and obviously we know how fast the Ferrari car is in the game at least, unlike in real life, so we'll kind of see how that progresses. But also, more importantly, let's see how this progresses. Leclerc is going down the inside and trying to overtake Pierre Gasly. He's already got one overtake done on the Renault of Esteban Ocon, so he's got one car in between himself and Hamilton. He's trying to get a second here as it's a drag race now. Ferrari v AlphaTauri down this straight. Leclerc on the inside line, but Gasly's doing a fantastic job to hold it through. These two know each other very well off circuit, but right now there's no kind of niceties about this battle here as Gasly's really fighting for it, and Leclerc's having to do all the hard work, and he gets it done though eventually on the outside, and now has 2 cars in between himself and Hamilton. He has some clean air as well to try and catch up to that racing point. I think that's Sergio Perez, who is just behind Lando Norris in that kind of top 5 fight. But at the moment, as it stands, the pressure is on that man behind in the black Mercedes car, Hamilton, 2 points ahead of Leclerc going into this race. Right now, though, 2 positions back from him, both in the points-paying positions, but I think Hamilton's just about in the top 10 as it stands. Of course, being knocked out in Q2 does not help as Lance Stroll is out of this Grand Prix. So 1 less car to worry about, 1 racing point we don't need to worry about. Generally, we've been fighting Stroll quite a lot this season, actually, so literally that's a kind of a good thing for us in terms of we don't need to worry about him. But what we do need to worry about a little bit is Kvyat, who is keeping me quite honest here on that 5 at least, as we have to use plenty of ERS to make sure we stay ahead of the AlphaTauri. You can see up ahead of us the gap 4 seconds to Vettel, so those two have kind of just waltzed away. But Sainz is still keeping Vettel at bay in the lead of this Grand Prix, 5 laps gone, and McLaren's looking comfortable in first place, which also then means that I'm quite surprised by Norris still being stuck behind Kvyat for P6. Like, I would have thought he would have been overtaking Kvyat and me quite quickly, but he's been trapped behind the Russian for all these 5 laps, and it goes on for a further 2 laps onto lap 7, and instead of Norris attacking Kvyat's still trying to attack me as we go very defensive there, very late on the brakes, almost got it a little bit too crossed up there on the braking yet again in a large brake zone. That's another thing we need to try and work on the chassis side of things, the brake upgrades, but the tyre wear really quite nasty around Abu Dhabi. Actually, I was quite surprised because, you know, tyre wear, most of the races have been such, quite, very easy one-stop, so it's always surprising when the tyre wear really comes to bite you on this game. And so yet again, I probably shouldn't be that surprised, to be fair, because historically Abu Dhabi's always been quite tough, like I said. But yeah, those rear tyres really screeching out and screaming for pain at the end of that stint. So we come on to a set of medium tyres, thankfully, on lap number 7 to 8. Kvyat joins us, so the likes of Leclerc and Perez and Norris behind us continue on for 1 more lap. So hopefully the undercut will work well for us here on these fresher set of medium tyres as we use plenty of ERS out of that tunnel. Obviously, very unique pit lane exit here at Abu Dhabi as we go underneath turn 1. But now on that outlap, then catching the Williams of Latifi as we end towards sector 3, and you can see the Williams tyre wear kicking in as we try and dance the car around. But massive tank slapper there and a little swig on the rear end for Latifi. So can we get down the inside of the Canadian? Easy does it, and we're just going to slip it through down the inside. Very close stuff on the left hand side, but get the job done in a very tight place. But as it stands right now, Ocon leads the way from Verstappen, the 2 Alfa Romeos of Raikkonen and Giovinazzi, all these guys yet to pit, and then this is the effective race leader, Carlos Sainz, still ahead of Sebastian Vettel. He's doing an amazing job. That McLaren, obviously you'll know if you've watched previous episodes, the McLaren is the 2nd best engine on the grid actually, so it's very decent in straight line, and even better than the Ferrari. That's still not nerfed in this game, so it can, obviously go toe-to-toe and, keep Vettel at bay down the straights even with DRS and ERS, I'm guessing. But in the hands of Sainz specifically, he's doing really well, because look at this, this is Leclerc ahead of Norris, so Norris has been overtaken not only by Leclerc, but also I think Perez as well, because Perez was behind the Brit before the round of pit stop. So now the running order is Sainz, Vettel, myself, Kvyat, Perez, Leclerc, Norris now, so he's lost out majorly, and Perez continues to push on there in that Racing Point car and overtakes Kvyat. Now this is where we need to be a little bit wary. I was kind of comfortably running in P3 there. I'm kind of happy of Kvyat being there, because the AlphaTauri, I know I can kind of have him in my back pocket really. I feel like we can comfortably beat the AlphaTauri. We should be able to. But the Racing Point car, we've seen it so much this season, is rapid. Obviously, we've done some great work, especially in the last episode, to go toe-to-toe with Perez and beat him in that race. But generally speaking, that Racing Point car should be beating us in theory. So I'm a little bit wary now that Perez is past, that this could be the P3 dream over. Let's just see how it goes. So far, so good. But meanwhile, behind us, fighting going on. Leclerc trying to make his way through the field, overtaking Danny Kvyat. A crucial overtake for him, because Hamilton is still stuck there. 3 cars back now. He's got Ricciardo, Norris, and also now Kvyat in between the man he's trying to fight in the championship. 2 points in it right now as it stands. If it was to finish like this, Leclerc would be crowned the world champion, which would be quite a crazy sight in itself. Going back to our race though, going quite well still on lap 15. Green first and second sector, third sector though red, and we're just obviously finding that an issue, like I said, in qualifying as well. And so Perez is keeping us quite honest and slowly reeling us in. So I think at some point we all have to go toe-to-toe with the Mexican, try and keep him at bay. Meanwhile, then you've got Norris overtaking Kvyat. So yeah, the AlphaTauri is just slowly going down the order and down the order. But the constant is that Hamilton's still not even past Ricciardo, and now Ricciardo is going to try and make it 3 wide, and he overtakes Norris, and so the AlphaTauri loses 2 places, and now Ricciardo is going side by side with Norris, and Norris has pushed him wide a little bit. No, Ricciardo gets it back round. Fantastic overtake for Ricciardo. 2 places in 1. the AlphaTauri and the McLaren there. For a second I thought Norris completely got the elbow out and shoved Ricciardo off the road there, but Ricciardo found the traction, found the space, and he's done it around the outside. And like I said though, the still constant thing is though, Hamilton yet to make any more positions. That Mercedes car really just seems to be not great in dirty and in traffic, just like it is in real life in a way. In the game, replicate to that, because he's not making any moves at the moment on the Renault or the AlphaTauri or the McLaren. I should hope he's probably going to make some moves soon on Kvyat. But meanwhile, back into our fight on lap 17, we come in for the pit stop. You may have seen on the previous clip though, Perez came in on the previous lap. So now we're the ones getting undercut by someone else. So I'm a little bit worried about this, because the undercut worked well for us to keep us ahead of everyone. And now Perez somehow managed to switch himself onto the undercut strategy compared to the first pit stop. So we've now come out, we pit with Leclerc then. So we've got the championship man in the fight right behind us. So no pressure there in terms of affecting the championship fight. But as we come out then, and it's going to be a decent amount of clean air actually. But that's only because ahead of us is, I think, the Haas. But then ahead of the Haas is going to be Sergio Perez. Sergio Perez has done a massive undercut, so effectively, that is unfortunately that third place gone. So maybe for a fleeting moment, you guys may have thought we were in a chance to get our very first podium of this season. How much poetry would that be on the last race after such a long, successful, decent first season to get the first podium on the final race? But I just don't think it's going to happen, because Perez was reeling us in on that second stint, and he was on soft tyres, you may have noticed, so he was having more tyre wear than I was, and was still pulling me in, as we now go for another very daring move down the inside here. So close. This time Grosjean puts much more of a fight than the Williams car Latifi, but a kind of deja vu moment there, getting a pass done with the ERS at that point in the circuit. We now catch up to Giovinazzi, another car out of sync of this Grand Prix. Once we get him, we'll be in that P4 position legit where we are in this race. So we may not be on for a podium, but we're still on to maybe match our best race position, of course, which was P4 at the Singapore Grand Prix. But you can see how quick the Ferrari engine is and how unrealistically it is quick in a straight line here at the moment in this game, because I'm just about only overtaking Giovinazzi there. We get it all crossed up though, under braking, and he's able to switch back me, so the Italian has another go, but then we kind of get the better exit there with DRS as well to aid us with overtake mode. But we had to use a lot of ERS to make sure we got past the Italian, but we're up into P4. But as it stands still, Vettel second place still. Sainz somehow, we're now 2/3 through this race now. It's looking likely the Spaniard could get his very first win in Formula 1 today at Abu Dhabi. But away from that, breaking news here in this race, Leclerc pitting again. He's got damage on his front wing. He was behind us in the traffic, and I guess he must have hit like the Haas cars. Of course, I got so close to making contact and maybe got some damage with Grosjean, so I can easily see how he maybe did it with, either Magnussen or Grosjean. Is it any surprise? But that is a massive calamity for Leclerc. So it's now all been flipped on its head. Hamilton's been so, powerless this entire race, and now all he's got to do is bring it home in the points, or just bring the car home, because Leclerc is out the points now, outside the top 10, and it's, well, I don't want to say it, but that classic Ferrari bottle, is it not, there here in the final race? And now Lando Norris seems to have woken up in this Grand Prix. 4 laps to go, and the P4 may not be as secure as I want it to, as Lando is on the outside. We go defensive, big lock-up though in the front left. We just about slow it down, but Lando charges in, and in the second phase of the corner, bumps us off circuit. We go wide, off track to re-overtake him there, but that was because Lando jumped over the curb and pushed my car off there, so it's getting a little bit frosty here with our fellow countrymen. But as we try and dive down the inside to get it still side by side, maintain the battle here, a little bit more contact, it's so fine. Again, Lando really squeezing us through. Massive tank slapper for us now as the rear end steps out. We go again for a big dive, bit more contact. It's getting a little bit maybe too much from our side. I'm desperately trying to hold on to the P4, because it'd be great to finish off equaling our best finishing position, but it looks like the McLaren is just actually finally now actually got the pace now in the hands of Norris, and into this next corner just got completely squeezed out. I thought I could maybe try and ease it in on the inside, but he just shut the door on us on that apex there, and that may just be the last time we see the last of P4. Am I surprised? No, because remember, the other McLaren car is currently leading this Grand Prix, leading a Ferrari for the entire race so far in the hands of Sainz. So the McLaren seem to have a lot of pace here at the end of this season, especially at this Grand Prix circuit as well. So yeah, P4 wasn't meant to be. Can we try and keep P5? That'll be the question now, as Ricciardo is going to be all the back of us now. So for the last 3 laps, we're going to go toe-to-toe maybe with the man we've had a rivalry with for the last third of the season. As he locks up badly, we try and switch it to the left-hand side, but Ricciardo blocks us off there. Bad mistake from the Australian, but as I tried to duck it to the inside, he just parked the car very awkwardly there, so made some contact instead on the rear end, and so we have to go again on this second bite of the cherry of DRS. This time we get that advantage there. You can see on the right-hand side, Ricciardo very confident on the brakes, but I actually meant the heads-up display. You can see we're very low on fuel, we're on the teetering edge, and also we're not too, pretty on the ERS, as we're still side by side on the entire section. I didn't even really notice it too much there, but no, Ricciardo kept it through on the right that entire time there. As I was trying to talk about the ERS, there was actually an absolute crazy battle going on in that sector there. So Ricciardo really wants to try and get this last position over us, of course. Renault, I don't think mathematically now, as it stands, where I am, where Ricciardo is and where Ocon is, they can't actually overtake us in the championship. But just for the sake of pride, I guess Ricciardo trying to overtake us here. Second last lap, we get it way too crossed up again into this corner. I have no confidence in this car yet. We've been making similar mistakes in the Belgium and Italian Grand Prix, so for sure that's also another area I want to try and explore is the brake updates going to next season, or just trying some things in the setup maybe. I'm not too sure, but here we are going round the outside again of Ricciardo as we enter the last sector, this time not going side by side in this little yo-yo section there, and we maintain the P5 for another lap. But for how long can we keep this, as we now have one more lap to go? So to be fair, we only have a little while to go to keep this, so one last lap. Can we do this? Ricciardo again there, we pull to the left trying to stop the kind of slipstream effect, but that Renault is actually pretty decent with DRS there. I'm sure he's using all the ERS he has to re-overtake us, but we're just going nice and calm into this corner, allowing him to have the position, because we just need to try and line this up nicely, get on the power as early as we can. ERS mode activated, DRS open, rich mix a little bit. We've got a little bit of fuel to play around with, but here we go now. Last time to do this, get it done on the outside as late as we can on the brakes. Very, very late. Lock up on the front left, and we just get the car rotated. Ricciardo, though, keeps it side by side, and we're still neck and neck. We use some ERS mode halfway through that corner that allowed us to springboard through on the right, and we use some more to push away. The fireworks are out, and Carlos Sainz has actually won an F1 Grand Prix. Ricciardo dive bombs us. Oh, what a dive from the Aussie man. Late drama here for us in this race, and we're still now side by side in this last sector. What a final race this has been. What fun it's been. We've been a massive train here. I mean, look at the train. I've had no pace here. The tyre has been so bad, but we pulled it through for P5. But yeah, Sainz wins an F1 Grand Prix on the final race, and Lewis Hamilton will come through to win his 7th World Championship. It went down to the wire, 2 points in it, but unfortunate Ferrari bad luck came in for Leclerc. For us, we've just gone out with a bang. A very fun last race there, especially those last laps.
And so the celebrations begin, and well earned they are indeed. It may have looked simple at times, but as any racing driver will tell you, competing at this level, at the very top, is anything but simple. There's no catching them now then. We have a new World Drivers' Champion. Victory today then, but bittersweet emotions, I'm sure, as the championship slips through their fingers. Even so, what a fantastic final race of the season this was. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap.
Our drivers are making their way out for the podium celebrations, and it's going to be McLaren picking up the winner's trophy. Congratulations to the entire team for that fantastic performance.
So there we have it. Very, very cool to see this man on the top step of the podium in McLaren overalls there. Sainz wins it from Vettel to Sergio Perez. Crazy race, crazy grid. I mean, even for us, like right at the end, the fighting, even though it was unfortunate to go from 3rd place basically down to 5th, I mean, I did not expect that massive dive bomb from Ricciardo into that hotel section. Was caught completely unawares, but we held it through, held our nerve, and it means we do finish in the top 10 in the Drivers' Championship, which I'm very happy about. I wasn't really looking too much at the Drivers' standings this season because we weren't really fighting for that much, but to be fair, if we're being honest, P10 is a very good achievement there, and even better, P6, we definitely secure that, so that's going to be a decent amount of money for the prize, you know, and also beating the likes of Renault, AlphaTauri, which at one point this season, you know, early days, it seemed like it was going to be such a massive, massive challenge, which it has been. We've had to, you know, keep on pace. You know, halfway through this season around Silverstone, I thought this car was going backwards, and then we really came through with some more upgrades grind, continued to plow on, kept on believing, and we've got up to P6, and we end off this season in some style with a very fun race here at Abu Dhabi. 1 million in the bank means we end off this episode then with $11.78 million in the bank. So definitely enough to try and sign a driver, even if they cost us, just over 9 million in that little range we talked about in the driver market system. But we're going to leave that and all the rest of the preparations for Season 2 for next episode. Basically, tomorrow's episode, guys, will be a massive one in terms of signing our new teammate, getting the car ready, and the preparations for Season 2. Basically, I'm not going to give it away, but I have some massive, massive plans for Season 2 in terms of, you're going to see the visual difference into Season 2. Just trust me on that. So I'm really excited for you guys to see tomorrow's episode, that pre-season preparation for the new season of this career mode. But guys, if you did enjoy this episode and this entire first season, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Honestly, guys, I need to say a massive thank you to you guys. This first season has been utterly insane. I mean, this entire month since the game has come out has been insane for the channel in terms of growth. The response on every episode has been just unbelievable, and it's so good to see some of you guys enjoying it in the comments below, and, let me know how much it makes your day every single time you see it uploaded. So, massive thank you for that, and hopefully we can continue that kind of vibe into Season 2. But if you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been aarava. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.